broadcast with Amanda, Shandy, and Colleen. My name is Colleen.
My name is Amanda.
And I'm Shandy.
Welcome to the show, everybody. This is season 6, episode 5, episode 230. How's it going?
Oh, it goes.
6 times 5 equals 30, and this is episode 230, so there we go. There's
look at that.
Wow, look at you, math.
I know.
That's impressive. I don't even think my brain can move that fast just like to count. Like forget actually doing real math.
I know. Zachary asked us these questions in the car. He is very STEM oriented. He just really likes that stuff.
That's great.
But he'll ask us math questions in the car like it'll be easy from like what's 20 plus 1025, and we'll be like 1045. But like he'll also get ones where you have to take a second to think. Like today it was what's 53 plus 19. Yeah, which I was grateful that I believe I got right.
To bust out the old counting sticks.
Yeah. I was like, quick, what's 3 plus 9? Carry the 1.
Nope,
but then,
which apparently they don't do anymore. They put in these like grids.
It's super confusing. The Common Core stuff, like
that makes no sense.
I know that's the one thing that I think everybody on every side of the aisle is like, this is really stupid. It's tough. Like, yeah,
why make that more difficult?
Right? I feel like the way that we learned it was easier. Like as an adult person, I am never gonna like want to know a tip and then draw out the dollars and like circle it, times it, move it over, count it into word number group thingies. Like
that's very fair.
Yeah.
Is that like a real thing?
Oh my God, Amanda. Yes. There were like 3 different ways that they had to solve math problems in their homework this year, and it would be like, okay, show this like in like counting up. So you'd let's say it hypothetically it was like 11 plus 12, right? And you'd have to do 11, and you'd have to draw 11. I forget, you have to draw 11 dots or whatever. But you start 11, you go 12. You have to do like 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Right?
Okay.
And then there were ones where you had to do like groups of 10. So you'd have to circle 10. You had 3 left over. That equals 23. And then there was another one that I can't remember. But it was equally as I felt, a lot. But
I don't know. The counting out makes sense to me. But I'm like visual, so that's like what I'm doing with my hands when I'm doing math. So you're not going to do that. I do, in fact, do that.
Right.
But like up to a certain point, like that's not going to be useful when you're adding like, again, like 1,562 and 3,429.
Right.
Like,
and
you can't.
I have to keep
you
in
drop
mind
the first number, and then you're like, okay, so then you add it back.
Well, see, they don't know to do that yet, and that just because it was first grade math. But like, because like I said, I learned like the number groups, and they did number groups too. To be fair, they spent the first half of the year when they were home, they did a lot of the number groups.
What are number groups?
I've totally forgotten what number groups are.
So number groups would be like 3 and 5 equal 8. So they would do all the iterations. 3 plus 5 equals 8. 5 plus 3 equals 8. 8 minus 5 equals 3. 8 minus 3 equals 5. So they would learn their different number groupings, and they spent a lot of while they were at home in like August, September doing the number groups. And then that was kind of like their introduction to like more advanced like subtraction and addition, and like how everything kind of related to each other. Which I thought was fine. It was basic. It was later when they were doing like the problem solving that I was like, wow, this is a lot. You have to draw a lot of things. But, and then sometimes I'll ask like these really ridiculous questions. Like what's 8,211 plus 900,000,005? Like, I don't know. I'm never going to have that much money. I don't need to know.
That's what a calculator's for.
Okay, so I want to hear from the grade school teachers. Why did they change it? Like, if it hadn't been for this last year and people posting pictures about like not being able to help their kids with their math homework because it was different than how we learned it, I wouldn't have even known that they changed it. And like, I mean, was there something wrong? Like, I'm open to the argument that there's there was a better way to do it, but
I think the theory was behind it, and I could be wrong because this started, like 4 or 5 years ago before I had to worry about this. Was that children should be able to explain how they got to an answer. And it was more like being able to like explicitly explain it instead of just knowing why 8 plus 3 equals 11.
Okay.
Right. And that actually goes all the way to high school because it affects my brother's a high school math teacher, and it's the same. It's the same thing. So it's like it carries all the way through to high school. This like new way of doing.
I don't understand
work.
How
to show the work.
But if you're going to add like 127 plus 365, I don't understand how carrying numbers like we learned is any less valid way to explain, or let's just say putting them in weird boxes and circling things. I don't understand how that allows you to explain it any better.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't.
I think it makes me think that all of it is just bullshit and made up anyway.
But honestly, I know the real answer.
Like, what are numbers anyhow?
It's because, the motto for America in general is work harder, not smarter.
Pretty much.
I learned through a series of events this past weekend that Rush Limbaugh has children's books that are out. And within those children's books, which were specifically written against the indoctrination of the liberal agenda in schools, he felt that he had to write this book where it's called Rush Revere. He's a middle school teacher that takes kids back in time, like a regular old magic school bus. And he wrote it to like teach them lessons. Like, for instance, there's one of the first Thanksgiving, and it was Rush Revere. Like, what kind of fucking sociopathic narcissist names himself after Paul Revere, who didn't even say the British are coming? But that's another thing.
Also, why pick Paul Revere? Like,
I don't know. I don't know how the hatred mind works. So it literally teaches them that socialism is bad because at the first Thanksgiving, they all pulled their food together, but they shouldn't have done that because it should be about individualism.
Wait, are you kidding me? Oh my God. The right wing is coming after Thanksgiving.
It sounds like
war on Thanksgiving.
Listen. If we're against socialism, it sounds like the right wing is trying to defund the police to me.
Well, yes, you would think. But again, that requires logic and consistency of thought.
Yes. So anyway, I learned that this past weekend. Google it. Just Google it. Google the things about it. I understand that they're not overtly like, also Democrats want to eat your babies in it. That's not there. It's all very subtle. It's just the messaging in general.
It's hidden within artwork.
It. So like
it's subliminal.
It's subliminal.
If you
there's
read
actually
the book
a shadow of the wall.
Mirror.
Yeah, there's a mirror, and in the very background reflection of the mirror, there's a Democrat with a fork and a knife and a baby on a plate. Yeah,
right. Yeah, it's in the clouds in the sky. If you look really closely.
Right. Just like the Little Mermaid penis on the cover.
Right. Exactly.
Very subliminal.
So that's where they got the idea from.
Right.
Exactly. Out of curiosity, though, when historically did he situate the first Thanksgiving? And was it in Canada? Because just saying, like, we got it from them, and it definitely didn't happen in the 1600s.
I honestly have no idea. I didn't read it. I Googled it to find out what was about it, and those were the things that because he gave an interview saying that it was just his wife was like, you always complain that they're being indoctrinated. You should really, do something that
indoctrinate them too.
Right, indoctrinates them as well. Like teach them about rugged individualism and American exceptionalism and blah, 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 blah. So it's not like outwardly like the kids don't know that they're being told socialism is bad. They're being told that something is bad, that sharing everything as a community is bad. You should not rely on like your community or something.
Dude, and that's pretty wild though. Because even like conservatives like will have the messaging for their children when they're young that they should like share and stuff. That's kind of like universally accepted as like a good value.
Well, also, most people give like donations at church, and that goes for a community pool to
people less fortunate than themselves.
Yeah, well, and also it pays the bills at the church. It pays for the salaries of the people that work there. Like,
they give those donations after their pastor, reads them passages from the Bible, teaching about how Jesus was all about sharing. Jesus was all about.
I don't know what, Feast of the Seven Fishes. Forget that one.
Right.
All those freeloaders.
Yeah, it's not important. It's not important.
Right. Well,
the story about the lepers. Don't listen to that one either. That one's bullshit.
Right. Yeah, that was bullshit.
Easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to go to heaven. Wait, what?
Well, they hate the rich. They just follow a rich person.
Right. So follow-up question: is this the only book in this, or is it a series?
Is
Rush coming
luckily
after
he
all
died,
the
so there's only so many that can come.
He died trying to complete the series.
So there's a bunch.
Are there unpublished manuscripts somewhere?
So there's the Brave Pilgrims, the First Patriots, the American Revolution, and I think there's one called Rush Revere and the Presidency and Rush Revere and the Star Spangled Banner. Maybe.
Dude, that's a lot. That's a lot of really hateful, shitty books.
Right. Well,
surprised there's not like a Oregon Trail one. I feel like rugged individualism. I mean, that one kind of sells itself.
Right. Well, it would be kind of hard to navigate between the anti-universal healthcare message when they're all dying. And
like Tommy broke his leg because he didn't know how to build a good enough raft.
Right.
That's on him.
Yeah, diphtheria took them all out, but they had closed the uber rural hospitals because
they chose this. Therefore, they died with dignity.
Because because taxes are immoral and no, taxes are theft. So, just another form of socialism, man. It only goes to pay for everything.
Yep.
Oh, anyway, yeah, good times. So it's time travel with exceptional Americans so it's like Rush Revere and blah, 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 time travel with exceptional Americans.
So wait, so the president's one, is it just like Reagan and Andrew Jackson?
The greatest
and Donald Trump. Come on.
Depending on when the book came out. We don't know when it was published.
Right. All right, well, hold on. Let me check.
It's the anniversary edition has Trump in it.
Co-written by his wife. Some of them are co-written. Some of them are just credited to him. Some of them are credited to his wife as well.
It's so hard to imagine that somebody married him.
Well, multiple people married him. One might say four women married him.
I guess there are 4 lids for every pot.
Yep. It's the Serena joy of it all.
The Serena joy of it all. All right, let's see. When was this published? This was published November 22nd, 2016, so it does not feature Trump. And it looks like... Here we go. Join Rush Revere on another action-packed journey. Rush and his friends head back in time to the early days of our independent nation to watch the early American presidents George Washington, John Adams, and Thomas Jefferson in action. Spoiler alert, this dude probably fucking loved Jefferson.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He was probably like, well, Sally Hemings was related to his wife, so it wasn't rape.
It wasn't. You might say it wasn't legitimate rape,
right? I mean, if
legitimate rape has a way to shut that all down,
right? Yeah,
that's a callback,
right? If his wife consents and she owns her third cousin somewhere, then really. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
Nobody, trust me, nobody wants to be raped by nobody wants to have sex with somebody that owns them and can beat the shit out of them if they say no. That's just how it works.
It's a little bit of a power differential there.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I know. I was going to see if there's anything interesting in this like description, and it is pretty tame. Good times. Although this part is funny because, we ended up with a president that's the opposite of this. Even so, President Washington knew that he couldn't stay president forever, or we might end up with a king just like England. Says
interesting.
Yeah, right.
Mm.
Says the person.
I wonder if that line would have been in the book if it was written in 2018.
Yeah, right. Although I will have to say my favorite part of this page is the about the author when it finishes with, he died in 2021.
Cheers.
Alrighty then. On that note, Amanda, how was your birthday?
Quiet.
Good quiet?
Yeah, it was good quiet. We were able to go out for lunch in the neighborhood, which was really nice. Eden slept through like the first half. We have like a little portable fan that we put on our stroller. So it's been really hot here and really humid. So it's like you kind of put the fan on to like keep the little babies cool. It died.
Oh no.
Parenting fail. We're not very good about remembering to charge it.
Oh shit.
So we were like, oh dear. So our food came and she was starting to get fussy. And so we like ate really fast and we like got the rest to go. And I think the poor people at the restaurant like took pity on us and they like threw some extra cookies like in our to-go bag.
That's nice.
But we got outside, so that was good. And then once we got her to bed, we relaxed. We split a bottle of champagne and just, kind of chilled out.
Nice.
It was nice, Don't need to do anything crazy. It's like I'm tired. It's like getting to bed early is like a celebration in and of itself.
Yes, it is.
Yes. Yes.
Well, nice. I'm glad that you guys had a nice day. Hooray.
Yeah, it was perfectly fine. It was nice.
How about you, Shandy? How is everything?
Good. Not much to report.
Cool.
Trying to remember even what I did last weekend. I went on a hike. It was nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So good.
And getting ready to go on vacation.
Yay. Ooh, which reminds me.
The best.
Okay, so next week should hopefully be the bloopers. If not, then sorry. And then the following week, we're going to be recording on August 2nd, which is a Monday instead of a Tuesday, because Shandy's going to come home and then she's going to go to Hawaii.
Yeah, it was the craziest stretch of vacation. It started out as 1 week and then like things just kept getting added. But cool.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited. We're going to Montana first, and even though the entire state is on fire, so it won't be as fun as usual, all of our friends from like when I used to live there, like from grad school specifically, are coming back. And we did this in 2018 for the first time in like forever. And it's happening again this year. And it was just like the planets aligned, and everyone, like we got people coming in from Germany, from Seattle, from Idaho. Like it's going to be really great. So even if it's a bit smoky and we can't really like go hiking or anything, at least we can hang out inside with good friends.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, take what you can get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
It sounds so much fun. We're going to Washington, D.C. For the Padres Nationals game.
Oh.
Yeah. I had put out on Twitter for some suggestions on what to do because it's Jay's Father's Day gift. So we're going up on Saturday and we're coming back on Sunday. And I got all these great ideas and I went on and everything is either still closed through July 31st or you have to reserve like 30 days out.
Oh, bummer.
Or the only thing that I have a chance is the Washington Monument. You can only get tickets, and they have time slots, and there's only 10 tickets per time slot, and they release them 24 hours in advance. So
I know this struggle from my time in Zion.
Yeah, so if we want to, whatever. Yeah. So we'll have to figure that out. But I think in the end what we're going to do is, because by the time we get up there, we're going to, just, I don't think it's going to really matter. So we're going to probably just walk the National Mall and see what we can see, have dinner, then probably go back to the hotel because, everybody turns into a pumpkin by like 8 o'clock anyway. And then on Sunday, we'll just play it by ear. Our hotel is right by the stadium, like the ballpark. It's like right there, but there's none of the really sightseeing stuff is right there. But we had picked that hotel because we were like, oh, well, we can get like a parking pass to park at the hotel, and it's only like $20 versus however much it's going to be to park at the stadium, which I'm sure is going to be much more.
Yeah.
So why don't we just do that and, pay to park at the hotel so then we can just load the car up, know it's all safe in there and like not have to worry about it. But we weren't thinking about how like none of the sightseeing stuff is near there. So we'll just play it by ear, see what we can do outside. But that's okay, like, because there's so many things. Like, I've never done the DC tour. I only went to DC when we went to the Supreme Court. And the only thing that we did when we were there was outside of my work things, which was at the Rayburn House and at the Supreme Court. We walked by the White House at night. So yeah,
nice.
We'll play it by ear. We'll see. I'm excited. I don't sit still very well, as you all know. So I am trying to not go crazy. We had 3 trips in 4 weekends, and Jay the other day was like begging. He was like, I know that you don't like free time, but I really need to breathe for a few weeks. So can we just not go away for a while? And I was like, we're going to LA September 11th through 12th. But that's in September, so you can have all of August to yourself. I make no guarantees that I'm not going to do something in August, but you don't have to do something in August. You are excused. Yeah,
and DC's awesome though.
Yeah, I'm really excited. So, and again, we're limited with like kids walking around and all that, but I don't want to leave Zoe alone for too long. So we got some Zoe news and update. So Zoe either has severe irritable bowel disease or, more likely, gastrointestinal lymphoma.
Oh my God.
So the treatment is to start as steroids. She has about, depending on how she reacts to the steroids, she'd have about 1 to 3 years left. It's been an emotional few days. She was eating a little bit better before she had her ultrasound, and then they had to sedate her for it because she kept hissing at them. Since then, she's come back and she hasn't really eaten very much again. She's on anti-nausea medicines, appetite stimulants. She tends to eat in the middle of the night, but she tried twice last night. She tried to jump up on the couch and she fell both times. She couldn't do it.
No, poor thing.
And it was really sad. And the second time, she was limping away. She had hurt herself.
Oh,
really
poor
sad.
girl.
And you can tell she's so dizzy or whatever it is. Like, when you pick her up, like, I had a habit of picking her up and, like, cradling her. And I can't do that right now because when you put her back down, she doesn't have her sea legs. She just collapses. Oh. You have to either put her down very, very gently on her feet, or she just goes limp and you just put her down on her side. It's really sad.
Poor girl. Oh, I'm so sorry. Poor thing.
Yeah. So we started on the steroids today. She'll have to do every 12 hours for the next 2 weeks. Then it's every 24 hours for 2 weeks after that. Then she goes back for an ultrasound again to see if it's working. And then after that, if she's responding well, then the steroids should at that point last 48 hours. So she would go down to every other day.
Which is good for you guys.
Which is good. So I'm a little worried about this weekend and getting her meds. So I've got to figure that out. But yeah, it's been, and she hides under the bed or she sits by the window. She doesn't jump up on the chair anymore or the table because she just can't. So yeah, I don't know. it's really sad. I was up like a lot of the night last night because I was so worried after watching her limp away and like just.
Oh,
I know it was so sad, and I just cried. I was like, I don't know, Zoe. So, I said we're gonna do what we can, and if she gets worse, then they'll probably start like kitty chemo for her.
Yeah,
I know. I've cried a lot. So.
Yeah.
But
I'm so
that's
sorry.
that's part of life. That's what we go through in life, and
That's true.
Yeah.
That's part of what you accept with adopting a pet.
exactly.
Unfortunately.
So we give her a lot of love. She comes out when we call her. Like she goes under the bed a lot, but I think that just because it's dark there and she doesn't feel good, so she's in a dark cool place.
Yeah.
But like if you call her, she almost always comes out and responds and meows, and then so like she's not quite at that place where she's like going off alone to die.
Right.
Like,
Well, that's good.
yeah, I know, right?
It's like, what do you say to that?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, well, love to Zoe.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So this is supposed to be our Handmaid's Tale episode. Do we want to talk about Handmaid's Tale?
Yes.
Well, we're already kind of at a low, so let's just, keep plowing forward into Sad Town.
No! Shit.
No. Let's. To be fair, I feel like there was some things to celebrate about this season. It's not.
There were.
Yeah.
And I have something for after we're done talking about it as a palate cleanser. And Shandy had something that was a palate cleanser too.
Oh, I did. That's right.
So we could do either or. The thing that I had, if you want to stay tuned, we don't have to do it. I was cleaning Zach's room and, cleaning for the cleaning lady. And I found...
As anyone does.
As anyone does. And you know what?
Really?
After we busted our ass to clean up the other night, she still was like, you need to have us come more often.
I would be terrified to know what a cleaning person would say of the state of my apartment. So,
Well, I mean, at this point, she only comes like every other month, every 3 months. She's been so busy that we've asked her to come, and she just hasn't been able to fit us in. So she's like, if you want me to come for August, you need to tell me now. And I was like, okay, pick a Thursday. We love when you come Thursdays because then you take the trash out for us. Because Friday is trash day.
Nice.
And that does save a whole lot of time at night. But anyway, so I found a book of kids' jokes.
oh my God. I
Oh,
love it.
fun.
Super cheesy kids' jokes. And I was like, oh my God, this would be perfect for the show.
Oh my God, I love it so much.
Okay, but before we start our Handmaid's Tale discussion, we are going to do a commercial break because we will probably talk about Handmaid's Tale for the rest of the episode. So let's just get that break out of the way now. Cool. Okay, so what did you guys think of season 4?
All in all, I liked it. I think it was satisfying in a lot of ways. It was certainly hard to watch, but not in the same way as I think some of the other seasons have been.
Yeah.
Well, there was less child torture in this season.
Yeah, which is always a win.
Right. I really liked that they changed scenery midway through. And everybody at our brunch said the first 4 episodes are hard to get through. Amanda, you said episode 5, like While Serious, was like a game changer of positivity. And I really liked that they finally got June out of Gilead and she was able to fight a different fight from the other side. And I thought that was something that was definitely necessary for the storytelling. Because otherwise we would have seen a repeat of the same old Handmaid's Tale, like... June gets caught. June breaks free. June blows some shit up. June gets
There's
caught
only
again.
so many. There's only so much we could do with her still in Gilead.
Yeah. So
definitely.
That was an appropriate time in the story as well to do that, to like bring her in.
Yeah, I was really happy with that too. And I remember in the early episodes with Frank being like, she's got to get out this season, right? Like, it can't be another season where she's still in Gilead. And so I thought that was really good. The stuff going into it was interesting too. But definitely the second half of the season, I think, was really interesting. I didn't know what to expect because I know some people had heard some negative criticism. I think overall, like I thought it was an interesting season. There are some things where you're like, why? But then, the second half of the season, I will say, like there were parts of it where I was like, no, June, no, like or like parts of things that happened that made me very uncomfortable that I didn't like. But at the same time, you're like, yeah, this is a person processing super massive trauma.
Right.
And so they didn't tie it up in a bow. Like, of course, it's going to be real hard for her to like readjust to normal life after what was it, like 7 years that she spent in Gilead as a sex slave? Like, yeah, that transition's going to be rough.
Right.
So I do appreciate that they kind of leaned into that. And I thought it was really interesting and heartbreaking to see her relationship, like, with her husband and some of the other things that happened.
Right.
On the other side.
Agreed. I also thought it was interesting, like, that they pointed out some of June's flaws. Like, how many times was it said, like, June does things without thinking? June's actions have consequences. Like, you had, like, June, the hero of Mayday, the resistance. At one hand, but you also had, like, people pointing out, like, how many people have died because of June, like, in her fight, too, and she doesn't think things through. And also, like, June gives a description of Serena Joy to the Canadian agent about how she's deceptive and deceitful and, blah, blah, blah. And I couldn't help think, like, they then, like, went to kind of this story, like, paralleled, like, June has kind of become
100%.
Right. That was
she was describing herself. Like,
exactly. That was very intentional. And I think, I mean, I've always loved how they assemble, like, the artistry that goes into assembling these episodes and how they use music, but in particular, how they edited things this season, I thought was really, really noticeably beautiful. Like, it's just such a well-crafted show, from the way things are lit and how it's directed and how it's shot. And they really get you there through just the visuals, which I think is really, really great. But to go off of what you're saying, I think it's, this season we really get the very clearly spells out that the June of before Gilead is never coming back. That she is who she is now, and she's forever changed. And leaving Gilead, it's like what was it? Lawrence's line of, like, it's never going to be enough for you. Like, just because you've left Gilead, you haven't left it behind. Or that obviously wasn't what he said, but something like that.
I know what you mean.
But this fighting June is just, it's always going to be, it's who she is now, and she can't go back.
Yeah. Which, I mean, they do. They touch upon the trauma that, all the handmaids had gone through, former handmaids. I did think it was kind of, on one hand, I thought it was so fucked up what she did with Aunt Irene when Emily specifically said, I am not ready to face this woman yet. And I thought that was actually somewhat, like, just,
violating. She doesn't always seek consent anymore, like when she raped her husband.
Right.
When, like, and that whole thing too. And it was like, wow, you are like, I get it. Like, trauma changes people, but, like,
Where is her therapy?
Right. And she pulls everyone back with her, because it's like, after that moment, Emily, instead of pulling away and staying with her path of recovery and moving on, she slides right back into anger and, like, jumps right back in with June. And, like, June almost pulls
she pulls everyone
down
with
to
her.
Where she is. Exactly. So it's like the Emily by the end is not who Emily was at the beginning of the season.
Right.
But it poses an interesting question, though, because anger, I know we're always sort of told not to be angry. And especially in, like, the Handmaid Society and Gilead and stuff, women can't be angry, etc. But even in, like, our lives, like, we're not supposed to be angry, and you're supposed to work to get through it, and blah, blah, blah. And that's all fine and good. But, like, anger is a legitimate reaction to what happened to them. So then how do you sort of balance that, like, being able to express that but not being, like, completely engulfed in it? I don't know, like where is the line? And I think we could argue that the way that the season ended in episode 10, that's maybe not, like, the healthiest way to express anger. At the same time, it was fucking awesome.
Right.
Right.
And you
right.
could feel June's anger, like when she's like saying, why can't we get angry? But then at the very end, I kind of got it. Like, you know, she's fucked up. She's angry. She wants everyone else to be angry. And like these women haven't worked through everything that's happened to them. So where is the level of, you know, where's the right balance, as you were saying? But like you could, like Elizabeth Moss is so amazing. Like you could feel how palpable her anger was for the last 4 episodes or whatever, that it was kind of terrifying.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and especially when the justice system fails you, like that's how we're supposed to resolve these things. And when that fails you.
Right. Well, how about the, right, exactly. And then they took matters into their own hands and like cool on, you know, Commander Waterford for being like, you know, sure, you can have them. Do what you want. Lawrence. Sorry. Waterford is red.
Waterford got his comeuppance.
Sorry.
It's weird to think that, because obviously there's going to be a 5th season.
Which is totally going to be like June goes rogue for Hannah, right? I mean.
Yeah, we still have to resolve the Hannah thing, but it's weird to think that we'll have a 5th season without Mr. Waterford, although I'm sure there'll be flashbacks and stuff. But
I'm sure he's not gone.
Yeah.
Gone, but not forgotten.
Right.
And we'll still see Serena Joy.
Oh, yes, I'm sure we'll see a lot of her.
Set up a GoFundMe for her widowdom or something. Which, what about that fucking scene between Serena Joy and June? She's like, do you understand me?
Yeah. It was delicious.
Mm-hmm. Such an exploration of anger. Just the whole season.
Right? And she made different anger choices each time, too, which was fairly impressive.
Yeah. A real... character journey into the effects of female rage.
Yeah. But the one, so I bawled my eyes out when Luke and June had their reunion.
See, I almost found her and Moira's reunion more moving than her and Luke.
I thought that was great too, but I don't know, I cried.
It was great, but then, like, you know, it was too good to be true. Like, it couldn't. They can't go back to the way that things were, and I think, you know, he knows that, and he's just trying to do his best. But holy shit, like, what an insane situation.
Yeah, and I totally think that Nick is going to die next season.
Interesting.
Yeah, he can't keep feeding. He's going to be a casualty of June's, you know, whims. He's feeding her this information. He took Waterford out to no man's land. Like,
I know. I did wonder, like, what happens then when he goes back to Gilead empty-handed? Like, how does that play out?
Well, I'm sure Lawrence lies about something like.
Right. Well, because Lawrence's value is the fact that he seems like the adult at the table to the Canadians and the Americans. So that's like why, you know, the fact that he's able to do this trade, like that's what sort of keeps him at the tables. But like, I feel like Nick doesn't have that same cachet.
No, he definitely doesn't.
And it would hurt June more to see Nick die. So, okay. I didn't think about that at first, but now that you say it, I think I am in agreement with you that is a casualty for next season.
I think, that's my theory. I think she finds Hannah. Maybe season 5 is the last season, and she finds Hannah, and Nick died. No.
I disagree. So, okay, because this is now what I'm thinking about as I was sort of watching the back half of the season. Because I don't know if either one of you read the Testaments.
Yes.
I'm starting to think about how those things, how we connect from one to the other, and what things are being put in motion in these final seasons of the series that gets us to that book.
But do we have to? Here's the question, because didn't Atwood say that the TV show wouldn't necessarily follow the book?
I don't know. Did she?
I believe she did, but maybe I'm misremembering.
She said that
I just know because she is
ago.
Right, and because she is involved with with the story of the series, and knowing that she was writing that book while they were working on the show. And I know that they were sort of in communication because there were certain things that she didn't want them to like reveal in the series that would affect like big reveals in the book she was working on.
Interesting.
So I know there was some connection between the two, but yeah.
Okay.
Well, maybe, I do wonder.
Yeah. Somebody who remembers better than I'm remembering right now should write us and let us know. But I thought there was something like that where it was like, if you read the book, it's not necessarily a spoiler for the TV show, but maybe I'm wrong. And maybe along the way, you know, they'll change their minds anyway. But I could see, like, obviously I see what you're alluding to, and that would be interesting.
Yeah. And I also think about like the end of the original novel, how it sort of jumps ahead into like the post-Gilead future. Yeah. And they're sort of talking about these tapes and how Gilead only existed for like 20 something years. So there was, you know, if we're going off of the book, like there is a finite amount of time that Gilead
and we're getting
existed.
Close.
Right.
Definitely.
So do we get to see the demise of Gilead? And like, are we going to leapfrog over the Testaments? I'm so curious now to see like if they go, if any of that comes into season 5, and then if they subsequently go past a season 5, like how all those pieces come together, or maybe they don't.
Right. Because are you thinking that there's too much there to do in just one season?
I don't know. I think you certainly could do more than one. I think there's enough there.
So wait, refresh us real quick. The Testaments, is that the story that's told by Hannah in the future?
No, it's told by Aunt Lydia.
Well, it's 3 parts.
Oh, that's right.
But I feel
Let's see how much I remember.
Right. So Aunt Lydia is a big character. So it's the testaments of 3 different women, Aunt Lydia being one of them.
Okay.
And then there's 2 others, which if you know who they are, it kind of makes the book less fun to read.
God, now I don't even remember.
Okay.
Amanda, you should text it to me separately so we don't have to say it on the podcast. But I'm like, all I remember from the Testaments now is the Aunt Lydia stuff. But very interesting. Well, and it was really interesting to see Aunt Lydia in this season. And especially that scene where you have this new batch of handmaids who are all just like completely obedient, and she has no one to beat anymore because they and like them saying like, Gilead's pretty much all they've known. So like, that's what happens just to see how quickly that happens, like in one generation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
even to see what happened to the young wife Esther, is that
Esther?
To see then she comes back as a handmaid, and
I actually kind of liked that because you wonder what's going to happen to her. And it's like, oh, of course, that's what's going to happen to her.
Right. And it's also sort of laying the groundwork where, you know, like Serena Joy mentions like, oh, if I go back, you know, they could make me a handmaid. And it's like, well, now we have the precedent.
Yes.
That very well could.
Yes. Fallen wives become handmaids.
Yeah. Right. And we also have the precedent because now Serena Joy had been with child. So they know that she
oh my God,
can potentially
like
bear
physically,
children.
yeah.
Right. But I think that's why she says like they could make me a handmaid because.
Yeah. So also it was interesting how Aunt Lydia, she clearly has a fondness and affection for Janine. Janine has won her over in some form.
Oh, Janine.
And always has. Like, I think from after she took her eye out,
right,
they've always had that more maternal
and then
the Stockholm relationship.
Right. And then
I think we just kind of learned that Janine is smart enough to know to play. She plays dumb.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, she does.
She'll play the part she needs to play to survive. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. But then you see Aunt Lydia does have a bit of sympathy for Esther when Janine's like, well, you know, she was gang raped basically. Yeah. So it's just interesting, Aunt Lydia, and then Aunt Lydia is clearly all in, right? She's no Aunt Irene. But you just think about the positions and the situations that every woman was put in Gilead. It wasn't just like, you know, women of childbearing age and then the women that became the Marthas. Like, it wasn't like they weren't cool with it, so that's what they became. And then the aunts were like, sweet, I get to beat the shit out of people and scream biblical quotes. And, you know, like, nobody really, with the exception of the commander and their wives, because, you know, the people like Serena Joy were like all in on their privilege. But with the exception of like the commanders' wives, none of the women wanted to be in the roles that they were in.
No.
Like,
Yeah,
everybody
and
was put in against their will for the most part.
I think that's one of the really interesting things that we get from the Testament is seeing how Aunt Lydia ended up being Aunt Lydia. And then, like, ultimately, even though she's horrible, you can't help but have a little bit more compassion for her.
Yeah.
Because it is just like you're saying, Colleen, it's not a role that she would have chosen for herself. But it's really ironic to see Serena Joy be such a believer in this new society. And yet, the moment that she could, be assigned to a different role in the society, all of a sudden it's not looking so good.
Yeah. And I think that the Totolo, is that his name? The Canadian agent. I think that he was brought in by Serena at first, but the more he dealt with Serena and Fred, he was just like...
So like the American guy?
The American guy, yeah.
Oh, there was the American guy, not the Canadian guy?
He's American, but he's
American.
Canada.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like you almost think that he's going to that he and Serena have like some weird chemistry.
Right.
He's kind of hard to read too. I think he also enjoys like...
his power.
Yes.
Yeah.
And inflicting things and taking things from. It's like a...
But at the end of the day, June won.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she did. She sure did. He gets off on withholding things. I'm trying to quote Arrested Development.
It'll come to you, don't worry.
Yep.
It's like she gets off on withholding. Anyway, I can't remember exactly.
Oh, and man, okay. How about that last scene? Like, when June just looks at him and she's like, run. And I was like, oh my God.
Because I didn't quite understand what was happening at first. Because it's like I saw she had the gun in one hand and I couldn't tell what was in the other hand. And I was like, what is happening?
But she's not going to give him the quick death. No. She just has it just in case.
And then the whole like back, the narration over like the flashes. What the fuck is it?
Flashbacks.
I was like the back flashes. Sorry.
The flashy backy things.
The flashbacks with the narration and how they all like came together and fit together in the very end, where she's like, make him feel like you want it, like disarm him, and then like, it was. I mean, for as heinous as what was about to happen, it was pretty badass. Like, she had that big dick energy, and she was not afraid to.
Well, you like indoctrinate and train a bunch of women to like enact biblical punishments of like stoning people, and that's what you get.
Yep. Yeah. It's like you gave them the tools. You taught them how to do this.
Yeah.
Right. And that just actually, I had completely forgotten the first episode of the show with Esther, where she's like, make me proud. And that's kind of your first hint, like, damn, June is really scary now.
Yeah.
She's
June
a
has
cult
become
leader.
like a stone cold killer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she wasn't wrong, but still, I mean, yeah. But no, that whole scene though, I texted you guys I was like, oh my God, this is just like Lady Tyrell being like, I want Cersei to know it was me. Which is one of my favorite Game of Thrones scenes ever, because it's just so fucking awesome.
It's so badass.
Anyway. And then it ends with, Amanda, you don't own me.
Yep. Again, just the way they use music in this series is always so unexpected, and like, who is their music supervisor? Because they just pick the best shit. Like after the bombing in Chicago, that cover of Fix You. I had never heard that version before, and it was so beautiful, and it was so perfect.
I wonder if it's the same person that did the music for White Girl Movie, because...
It's possible. Speaking of White Girl Movie, it was totally a question on Jeopardy last week.
No way!
Oh, nice. It was. That's right. We are old. We watch Jeopardy. Just about.
Did they find a new host?
No, they do guest hosts. This week it's George Stephanopoulos. He's doing a very good job. The last 2 weeks it was
LeVar
Dr.
Burton, right?
Sanjay. No, he's coming up. He hasn't come up.
Oh, okay.
He was towards the end because they people like petitioned for him to be added, so he was like a last minute.
Oh, I'm well aware of the campaign for LeVar Burton.
Yeah,
it was all over Twitter. It trended for lots of days.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they have like a new guest host like every week or every 2 weeks.
What an interesting career path for George Stephanopoulos. Who would have thought 30 years ago when he was in the Clinton administration that he would someday be hosting Jeopardy, guest hosting Jeopardy?
He's doing a very good job.
Good for
Of
him.
the recent crop of guest hosts, he's been my favorite.
Interesting.
I enjoy him.
Cool. So what was the question?
Oh, I forget.
Okay.
I think the category was like female directors, and because there's been so few like Oscar-nominated female directors, you could basically like
they fit into 5 categories.
yeah, basically.
Perfectly.
Yeah.
They fit on one hand.
On one hand.
A whole hand.
Well, that's fun. Okay, so overall, to recap, what did we think about season 4 Mayday Goes to Canada?
Wait, huh?
It was a joke.
Is that what
Mayday
it's-
Goes to Canada. Get it?
Okay.
Because she's...
Sorry, I thought there was some title or something that I missed, and I was like,
No, she's Mayday and she went to Canada.
yeah, I'm with you now. Sorry.
Man, I thought it was clever. I thought of it on the spot.
I mean, it was so clever. It just sailed 8 feet over my head.
It's all right. It wouldn't even have made a Jeopardy question. It's fine.
You don't know that. There's some real random shit they ask on Jeopardy.
I'm sure.
But all in all, I found this season a very satisfying watch.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say thumbs up, definitely.
I
Yeah,
agree. I definitely looked forward to it more in the second half than I did the first half. Just because, again, like I was like, ooh, shit's moving on now. It's happening. We're in Canada.
And I think they should let Elizabeth Moss direct more episodes because I thought her episodes were really beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So-
I agree.
And the amount of female names that I would see like in the director and the writer credits at the top of a credit also warms the heart.
It
Nice.
does. I don't want to say like I enjoyed the season because it's really hard to enjoy,
Yeah.
like say you enjoy a show like this.
Yeah.
I will say that I appreciated it. I didn't cry and feel depressed after watching it. And
It wasn't season 2.
it was not season 2. Oh, God. Season 2 was just so rough. No children were harmed in the plot line of this story. And yeah, I was satisfied at the end. I mean, you know, what about that very, very last scene where she's like, just give me 5 minutes with her. Like, why does she need to leave? Is she going to get arrested? I don't think she's going to get arrested. It didn't happen on anybody's jurisdiction. It was no man's land.
Well, maybe he wouldn't want a murderer to raise the
Right.
baby that's not his, but that he's been raising for the past however long.
Right.
Yeah, and
Do we
Laura
also
and
consider that war crimes? You know, I feel like she's got to go underground for a bit. I feel like Canada wouldn't necessarily want to harbor her in the, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like things get dicey for.
Well,
for
I
June.
hope it was somewhat of a misleading cliffhanger, though, where by like the end of episode 1, they're back together or something. But I feel like in order for her to, okay, for June's journey, she leaves Luke to go on the run or whatever, looks for Hannah, gets back with Nick. Then Nick ends up getting killed, so then she's got to like make amends to go back with Luke, or maybe she doesn't go back with Luke. Maybe like that's just how life is. She's just solo. But Luke's a good dude, and I'm glad that
He's
you
a
know,
really good dude, and I love his relationship with Moira.
Yes.
That's like
Yeah.
so fun to watch, like their household that they've created between this like straight dude and gay woman who, you know, obviously aren't
co-parenting.
together but are
Yeah.
co-parenting and just really
And-
good friends.
And
And
don't forget, they didn't like each other pre-game.
yeah,
I was gonna bring that up. Yeah.
yeah, no, it's
So-
great.
The arc of their relationship has been really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And poor Emily. So I think I missed it. Like, what happened to Clea Duvall's character?
I think they just couldn't afford her this season. No, just straight up. I feel like she was probably busy, and they're like, okay, fine. We'll just, write in some backstory, some lines of like, oh yeah, things are fine.
And we're just living in the same room, but things are great.
Right, but when we just don't see her, like I'm sure.
Okay.
They needed that money to pay for all the music. They couldn't afford her.
Like, we got this Coldplay cover. It's real expensive. It's Playa Duvall's entire salary for the season.
Right. Sorry, we're not going to invite you back.
But we'll send you a royalty-free version of this song. Enjoy.
Right. we'll maybe see you for season 5.
You can come to the rap party if you want.
Right. But you're going to have to be someone's +1.
Right. And if you're vaccinated, you can come to the premiere without being a +1. Good times. Anybody have any final thoughts?
No, I'm excited to see what next year brings.
Me too.
Me too, actually. I am excited. I dread it a little bit because I'm hoping it's not going to be more like June, personal turmoil, blah, blah, blah. She's on the run. She goes back to Gilead. But, I mean, I'm sure at some point we're going to see some June Nick fucking, so that's exciting.
I think their relationship is really interesting because I like what Lauren said about how June makes people like her. And that's why she's successful. And I thought that was really interesting. And she certainly, Nick certainly likes her and will do anything for her, anything, which is just interesting because like last season or maybe the season before, like I kind of thought that he didn't give a shit about her. Like it's a little confusing. Like he's actually head over heels madly in love with her.
I think they just have this understanding that they're both going to do what they have to do to survive. But at the same time, like if they can help each other out.
And I get that, but like there are times in previous seasons at least where it didn't seem like he was down with helping her out.
Right. He always had that kind of brooding
smugness.
Men don't show emotion, and in his whatever season had his little backstory that he's someone who always looks out for number one, and that's how he gets by, is by not getting close to anyone. And it really seems as though June is really the first person he's actually gotten really close to.
Yeah. Yeah. And it did not help, it helped that she had Nicole, like in general, like physically there and, in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Okay, predictions for next season. I think it's going to be the search for Hannah. I think Nick is going to die. And I think Serena Joy is going to actually have her baby. And it's going to be healthy. And she's going to name him like Fred Jr. or something stupid.
Or something really biblical.
Moses.
Jesse. Because you can't name him Jesus.
I mean, unless you're from a Spanish-speaking country, then.
That's true.
Very true. Yeah. Abraham. Here's my son, Abraham.
Oh,
Isaac.
yeah.
Isaac. Oh, I think it should be Isaac.
Because Isaac's the one that he tried to sacrifice, right?
Exactly.
And then God said no. But Abraham,
that gets
crazy
deep.
shit.
Yeah.
But if she names him Abraham, that's also somewhat kind of technically after Gilead because Abraham couldn't bear Rachel, blah blah blah, and she gave her handmaid, and that's how the whole Gilead thing started.
That's a good one too.
Yeah, that's good.
So okay, I think we're either Isaac or Abraham. Yeah, I think Serena actually really fucking hates Fred and would not name him after him if he was dead.
Not at all.
Didn't know about it.
Unless something happens, unless something
Yeah.
happens that like by naming him Fred Jr., she is protecting herself in some way.
Yeah,
exactly. And I wonder when we get the final showdown between Serena and June because as we've established, they are very similar. They've gone back and forth for who holds the power, and that whole scene, like, do you understand me, was that was a lot. Like, that was really intense.
That was really intense.
But then Serena bounced back, so I don't think we've seen the end of Serena June just yet.
I think we have to wait until the series finale for that. I think we have
to wait till the series finale too.
Yeah,
and
I think they'll come down to just those two as the last people standing.
Yeah. I think I completely agree. I would be very surprised if something different happened, and that would only be if, like, you know, Yvonne Strahovski wants to leave, but I can't imagine why she wouldn't. Yeah. Those are my predictions. Do you guys have any predictions before we take our commercial break?
I really like your predictions. First and foremost, I think I agree with most, if not all of them. I agree. Yeah. I don't know what else I would add.
Do you think that Luke and June will end up together in the end, or it's going to be like a casualty of war?
I think it's a casualty of war. I think June ends up alone.
I think so too. I think June dies in the finale. I think they go full on fucking Lost, like Jack and Lost, where she finally she rescues her daughter, she gets her piece, and she dies.
Yeah, I think especially when you were talking about a Serena Joy face off, I think that could make sense that they both, like, neither of them escapes that alive. And I agree that it would make a lot of sense for because, like, where is June going? You know, where is this? It's kind of like in White Girl Movie. Like, that's why the ending didn't bother me at all. It's like where like at that point, where are you going to go? Like, where's your redemption? I don't know. I mean, she will have still done a lot for the movement. But also I think it's probably best for poor Luke if he can also get some sort of, like, closure and move on himself and, you know, maybe end up with somebody who is, you know, a little bit less, like, traumatized.
Yeah. Well, we're intense in general. And that's sad to say, like, because of course people that are traumatized deserve to, like, be loved and get a relationship and all that.
But this is, like, next level trauma. And she, like, I know they went to their, like, group where they, like, talked about some stuff, but, like, there was zero actual therapy going on.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
No.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, Moira's. Did she suddenly become a therapist?
She is really a jack of all trades, Moira.
Right.
Yeah.
Unqualified. She's just doing everything. She's
Yeah.
like, I'm going to save everybody.
Okay. How is this
Read
for
about
a
it
theory?
in a book once.
How is this for a theory? In the series finale, June doesn't die in the last scene like Jack did in Lost. June
Spoiler,
dies.
I never finished Lost.
Oh,
Never
he
even
dies.
started it.
It's fine. It's a flash forward. He dies. So, anyway, I think June dies 3/4 of the way through the episode, and then the episode kind of ends with, like, them celebrating in Canada or in the newly reformed United States because Gilead has fallen. They celebrate June Osborne Day and they, like, make some kind of, like, school or library to her, and it ends with, like, people praising her, and we all as the viewers and Luke and Moira and Emily know that she wasn't a perfect person, but everybody else knows her as this hero, and that's why life is complicated and nothing is black and white, and we get, like, June Osborne Day, and it's, you know, national holiday, blah, 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 blah.
Does Rush Limbaugh go on to include her in one of his children's stories?
No,
Obviously.
he's still dead.
Also, she's a woman, so.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like June will keep her anonymity. Like, I think the tale of June Osborne will probably, like, live on, but her name gets lost.
Really?
Because then that ties you back to the epilogue of the original book and how they found these tapes and they don't know who this woman is. So I think she probably is going to take on some kind of, like, moniker, you know, like a Joan of Arc type.
I love that.
But her name gets lost to
A
history.
June of Arc type?
A June of Arc type. But yeah, her name dies, but her deeds live on.
I like that.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that.
Yeah, I like that.
And where is Serena Joy in all this? Is she also dead, please?
I think she has to. I mean, we all die eventually, but if we've learned anything from this season, that comeuppance is coming and just desserts are real. And I think, you know, time will tell for Serena Joy, but I think I think it's safe to assume her days are numbered.
Right, and as we learned in episode 1, June fully believes that God punishes the ones that need to be punished, which is why Fred got his punishment, and I'm sure Serena will get hers as well.
What if she dies in childbirth?
Oh, that's not satisfying.
No, that's not satisfying. Yeah,
It's ironic, but
Right.
It's ironic, but they wouldn't do that to us. I
Okay.
think that's
only-
not satisfying for the viewers.
it's not bloody enough.
Right. No, it's only
not vengeful enough.
It's just
it's not vengeful
traumatizing.
enough.
It's not like
like Serena needs to die in poverty. Like,
Well, and then that also doesn't work with like June's prophecy of, when your child dies, it's taken from you.
Yeah.
You'll understand a little bit of how we feel. So
that's true.
The child will go first.
oh, I don't know. That would be so season 2 to have a child die first.
Yeah. Well, maybe not die.
Not
but, like,
die.
they will be separated in some really brutal way for Serena.
I agree. The Putnams get him. No, the Putnams aren't going to get him.
Right, that's their name.
Fucking
The
balls
Putnams.
on those people. They're like, hey, we're going to leave you to die here, but we'll take your kid. Like, I would have said the same thing. I'm like, go fuck yourself.
But it's like, once again, how like that type will turn on each other. When there's no one left, they will turn on each other.
Yep. All right, and then we've got some feedback. We've got Maggie, Matt, Tasia. We've got some Debbie. We've got some feedback. So before we do that, let's do a quick commercial break. Okay, we have talked a lot about this, so let's hear what you guys had to say. We had some feedback from Debbie, and she said, I'm starting to understand why it might be a thing, but enough with the long looks into the camera.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
It is a lot. We also had an email from Matt, and we had 2 voicemails from Maggie. Does anybody want to read Matt's email to start?
I can read it.
Okay, cool.
All right. Matt Loves TV wrote in, and he said, Handmaid's Tale Season 4 thoughts. Spoilers, obviously. Don't worry, Matt. We have already thoroughly spoiled all of the listeners. He says, blessed be the fruit broads.
May the Lord open.
Lord open.
So here we are at another season of The Handmaid's Tale. It is a different world than the one we were in when Season 3 aired. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
The show was certainly benefited in the past for being topical in ways that the writers didn't see coming. The first and unlikely to be beaten season tapped into a lot of fears liberal America had with the rise of MAGAs to power, and this most recent season has certain parallels as well with the transfer of power away from the Mad King to Joe Biden. The writers were obviously thinking what's next well before all the upheavals of 2020, but they find themselves benefiting from good timing as this season's exploration of trauma hits hard as we work through the trauma of the past year. That's a really good point. June's dilemma in the second half of the season after finally escaping Gilead comes from being unable to cope with her rage over years of torture and frustration with few people in Canada understanding or being able to put it behind them. The scene in the grocery store with June flashing back to moments in Gilead's markets is a clear homage to a similar scene in the Hurt Locker, except in this case, the war zone she escaped was her home, and that supermarket in Canada resembles the stores she would have gone to before and whose mundanity she took for granted. I'm not exactly sure what the writers want us to think at this point with June's character and where she could go in the next season. Her trauma has shattered her to where appealing to her darkest impulses seems to be the only thing that works for her, as we see with what she does to Luke and the culmination at the end of the season where June, along with a few dozen refugees, tear Waterford apart. Obviously, the show is portraying these moments as pretty dark, but I wonder what it could mean for June's character for the remainder of the series. Is there any way she can find peace like Moira has, or will the darkness swallow her whole? It's safe to say I enjoyed this season a lot more than last season's wheeling, spinning mess, where the reliance of empty shock value and June's impermeable plot armor pushed the show to its breaking point. The show needed to move to a new phase. Finally, Canada became the place where the story was happening, and the exploration of trauma gave us something new. Unfortunately, Gilead has been worse for wear story-wise, as it feels like the writers ran out of interesting things to say about the place 2 seasons ago, and no genuine attempt has been made to flesh out what Gilead is on a level beyond what June had access to in season 1.
Can I just point out that maybe Gilead just isn't that deep? It's
possible.
literally just a
It's
bunch
possible.
of religious fanatics.
That's true.
If it quacks like a duck.
For example, explain just how Gilead is still superpower when they're operating in a society 200 years behind everyone else. Yes, they have the American firepower, but Fred and Serena couldn't understand how GPS worked last season as they fell into the most obvious trap ever. I
But
forgot
they
about that.
did learn how Zoom worked this season.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, the
Oh
Zoom.
my God, that was
the
painful.
Zoom of it all. It was even painful for the actors. Like they so half-heartedly delivered those lines. It's
His
like,
delivery was like, or we could Zoom.
This episode's sponsored by Zoom.
right. I'm sure they were like, oh my god, what if we just like added this like Zoom thing in? Wouldn't that be so funny? It would be such a callback. I think audiences would really like it.
Really felt like that to me too.
It was like really like the one really blatant misstep.
Yeah.
And Joseph Fiennes was like, seriously, you want me to fucking say this? Okay.
It's like,
They like gave him that note like right as he was about to start to film the scene.
It's like, how much am I getting paid to do this series?
Matt goes on, maybe some of this is nitpicking, like how there are still a lot of American brands producing new products and shipping it to Canada. But for world building, they aren't taking the steps, and as a result, Gilead is less believable. As a whole, I'm still giving the show a good grade, but I can't help but focus on the more critical areas because what else is there to say about the good stuff? Sure, the visuals are still good. Elizabeth Moss is a powerhouse, although I'm rooting for MJ Rodriguez from Pose for the Emmys.
Girl got her nom this morning.
And the rest of the cast is full of good people. You may forget that some of them have nothing to do with this season. I totally get wanting to keep Bradley Whitford and Ann Dowd around, both of whom also got Emmy nods, but their stories this season were lackluster at best. Lawrence feels adrift with little to do, and no matter how many inciting incidents they want to give Aunt Lydia, within a few episodes, she'll be back in her old position, barking orders as if she didn't almost get put up against the wall. It's like how they wasted Chris Maloney last season all over again. Who was Chris Maloney? What character was that?
I don't remember Chris Maloney being in it, but he's from Law and Order SVU.
Yeah, he was one of the commanders from DC
Oh, yeah.
that gets killed in the
That's right. Yes, she...
like brothel. What do they call that?
Jezebels. She kills him in Jezebels. And it's one of the reasons... It's one of the things like the dirt that they have on her and on Lawrence. Like, yeah. Oh, my God. I totally forgot about Chris Maloney being in this.
Yeah, because he was only in like 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Well, they're there. They're probably under contract. Give them something to do.
But, honestly, like, Bradley Whitford, he didn't do enough to get an Emmy nod. But, like, Ann Dowd, at least, she, emoted the fuck out of her scenes.
Yeah. But, like, Bradley Whitford is Bradley Whitford. Like, right. I would watch him do whatever. Like, I didn't feel that way. I didn't think he was wasted. I think he was appropriately used.
Yeah.
It was like just enough Lawrence. Like he really is kind of settling into like just being like the necessary heel.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Anyway, on to the Waterfords, who have been in custody in cells that look better than most of the hotels are stayed in.
Sure do.
This was another subplot that dragged a bit, aside from some moments where the people in charge thought it was a good idea to let June anywhere near them, but that mostly wasn't an issue. I wanted to see them a little more miserable. We didn't need to see them in the prison from Oz, but they had it pretty easy there. They even had a fan club. It should be interesting to see where they go with Serena, who I've given up trying to figure out what the writers have been doing with her the last 2 seasons, now that Fred has his head torn off and strung up in the middle of no man's land. Although I've had issues with Serena's characterization, it pales in comparison to the least valuable player on the show, Nick. Nick.
Oh, I disagree.
I disagree too.
Why is June still on board with this guy? Am I missing something? Okay, I can kind of agree with Matt here. That's kind of what I was saying. Like, something in their relationship. But okay, there were some of that line that I didn't follow, that was missing. Yeah, early on he was part of the rebellion, but these days he's a full-blown company man for Gilead. He's done a lot of bad stuff lately and barely did anything helpful for June before her escape or for any of the oppressed people of Gilead. He might as well be saying thoughts and prayers. Well, that's about all the thoughts I can get out before you record. I'm sure you'll have some things to say about my takes, even if we may be closer in overall opinion of the work. Until next Mayday, Matt. Matt, I am there with you a little bit on the Nick. Like, I like that they have that relationship that they have in this season. It helps a lot. And I'm not usually a fan of the like love triangle, but I kind of like theirs. Like, I think that kind of works and it was kind of interesting. But I'm also, like you, a little bit lost as to when he and June got so close. I know when they were like physically very close, but then in between that first season and this season, I'm like, I see what you mean, but I'm okay.
They had a kid together, and again, I think they both see in each other that they are survivors that will do anything. They will do what needs to get done to stay alive and to protect the people they care about. So I think they see that in each other, and I think that's part of the attraction. And again, like, I think June is the first person that Nick has ever let his guard down to, but I think he's hiding in plain sight. I think he's doing what he has to do to stay alive.
I mean, I fully understand why they're into each other. 100%. Plus, he's really hot. Let's just say.
He is really hot.
Yeah.
I find him hiding
under all that eyebrow.
Listen, a year after the pandemic, I haven't got my eyebrows done in a year and a half either, okay?
I have lost my tweezers somewhere moving to this apartment. I cannot find them.
Oh my God. It makes me feel better. New ones. Jay stole my tweezers.
Ah, that jerk. Maybe he stole my tweezers too. Can you look for me?
I will check how many tweezers he has in his little beauty kit that he has. Oh, well, thank you, Matt. Anyway. Thank you, Matt. We appreciate the feedback. Next up, we actually have a voicemail, 2 voicemails from Maggie.
Hey, Amanda, Shandy, and Colleen. It's Maggie, and I'm calling in with Handmaid's Tale Season 4 feedback. And I just finished the last episode 20 minutes ago. So this is going to be all over the place, just warning you. Oh my God. They killed Fred, and that was kind of epic and amazing, and I mean, awful. I mean, yes, we root for June because we do, but she is such an anti-hero, and it's getting very hard to, but oh man. And the parallels, I had forgotten the parallels to the Whistle with Aunt Lydia when they had to they had to kill another handmaid, or they had to do something. I can't remember who they had to kill, but I forgot about the Whistle. I saw that online and I was like, oh yeah. And I also saw another joke that, with Serena being sent the ring. Well, Serena now has, 10 fingers. Sorry, it's a really bad joke, but, also kind of amazing. I really don't even know where June goes from here, and it's kind of insane. I really wish she didn't hug the baby with the blood still on her face. That was not okay. What? That was not okay. Oh man. So, okay, the other thing I have to say about this season that has been so fucking amazing is the episodes that Elizabeth Moss directed, which were episodes 3. Oh man, what were they? I had them before. Was number 9, Process, number 8, Testimony, and 3, The Crossing. And oh my God, where she was being tortured. And oh my God, those were amazing. I actually thought that last one was directed by her too, because it had that same feel, of those episodes. She's amazing, director. Those episodes were really amazing. I was going to be very mad at them if they had Janine go with June in Chicago and then they were going to kill her. I was like, do not do that. You cannot kill Janine. But they didn't show her body, and they're usually, no body. They're still alive. So, is Janine and Esther, Mrs. Keys, starting a new resistance? I hope so. I hope so with the handmaids. Oh, I hope so badly. So yes, I'm very glad Janine is alive. I was very worried for her. I do love Janine. And so I think she's still, hopefully she's not wrapped in with Aunt Lydia. I don't know if did you guys watch the Burning Questions thing that Hulu has? Those were really fun. Different things with the actors, and those were fun to watch. And the actors talking about the show because they like it as much. So if you have not watched those, I would definitely watch those. Something came up on them, which I totally agree. It came up in the last one. I totally think that Mark, the Canada guy, and Serena, they have a thing, and they're gonna. Well, no. When Fred was alive, Serena wasn't gonna get with him. But now that Fred's dead, maybe Serena will get with Mark, the guy that June said she was gonna kill him. And yeah, that guy was just, I mean, giving Fred immunity and stuff. Oh, that's the worst. It's just been a crazy season. I watched the first episode around the time it aired, I think, and then I lost count. So I've watched like 9 episodes in a few days. So I'm all Handmaid's Tale out. But the good news is this one was able to be binged. In the past, I wasn't able to binge it, but this I've been able to binge. I don't know if that's because the world has changed slightly and able to get not feel as scared about the Handmaid's Tale as I used to. But yeah, I've definitely been able to binge them. Yeah, I also just like. Can't, I kind of got spoiled. I think I saw something after the last episode, something about, Fred dying. So I kind of knew that was going to happen. And then I was watching stuff on Hulu and accidentally got a behind the scenes for the wrong episode. So I knew, Lawrence was going to make the call to June, and, I saw June and Luke together, way before. And so I kind of knew that was going to come at some point. But yeah, when Maura found her, oh my God, that was so good. And Maura just don't make me leave you again. Don't do that to me. Oh, yeah, their friendship's really going to be tested. And I'm trying to, like I said, my brain is still, I probably have 10 more thoughts that I'll think of when I'm listening to you guys talk. But I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. I feel like it was a really good season, and it's come a long way. This show, I think it's crazy, but it's also really good. And yeah, there's a podcast. I meant to email this to you guys before and I didn't get a chance. Katie Couric has a podcast called Next Question, and she released an episode right after a podcast episode with cast and creators of The Handmaid's Tale. So I definitely plan to be listening to that. If there's anything super interesting in that, I'll let you know. But if you haven't watched The Burning Questions, it was really the Burning Questions thing on Hulu. It's under the extras. I would really watch that. It was really fun to hear the actors kind of talk about the show and geek out about it a little bit, because they're fans of the show just like the rest of us. Oh yes, and Amanda, I hope you had a good birthday. So happy belated birthday, and I'll talk to you ladies soon. Bye-bye!
Hey Brad, it's Maggie again. I thought of one more thing. This will be short, I promise. Okay, so was anybody else thinking when Fred kept calling Nick son Tommy said one more time from Hamilton. Okay, had to make the Hamilton reference. Especially on the day that Hamilton and the Hamilton film and Handmaid's Tale got Emmy nominations. Yay! Like basically all the ladies on Handmaid's Tale got nominated. Elizabeth Moss, Alexis Badil, Janine, Aunt Lydia, Moira, Serena Joy, even Mrs. Keys, the actress that played Mrs. Keys. I can't think of her name, but yeah, lots of them. So yay for that. Okay, I can't wait to hear what you guys thought about Handmaid's Tale, and I'm all done. That's my last one, but had to make the Hamilton reference. So talk to you later. Bye bye.
Yay,
Oh,
Emmys!
Yeah, I didn't know Janine got a nomination. Good for her.
She deserves one.
She does deserve one. I feel like she's been the supporting player that has been forever kind of forgotten about from season to season, but she's just always so solid and so good.
Yeah, I agree.
Really I listened to many of the Burning Question little episodes, or watched many of them. And I will say I agree with Maggie. It's interesting to hear what the actors have to say. Less interesting, though, to hear what the host has to say. She drove me insane.
It's kind of like when James Corden spoke during the Friends reunion.
Are you a friend? I don't think so. Stop talking.
Exactly. Also,
but yeah, I saw those Burning Question things when I was flipping through the extras. That's good to know that you both thought they were interesting. I'll have to find time to try and go back and watch them.
Again, brace yourself though for the host.
okay.
I cannot stand her.
Okay, she's not great. Got it.
I mean, to the point
she can't sit with us.
She almost ruins them. It's pretty bad.
Oh,
How nobody thought to maybe, I don't know,
make someone out, let someone else do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch them too. I regret not watching the extras, kind of, but
I started. I was watching the extra for the last episode, but didn't even get all the way through.
Other things that Maggie had to say. Do you think that Janine and Esther are going to start the new Resistance? Because that'd be pretty awesome.
I would love that.
Yeah.
I mean, the Resistance is still there, but start a new Resistance within those new brainwashed handmaids.
Right.
Yeah.
We are Mayday and all that business. Yeah.
Right. Indoctrinate them before Rush Revere can.
Right. Before Rush Revere gets back in time.
Goes back in time.
Actually, this is in the future, right? Actually, it's a parallel universe because they were saying 2017, so
it's fine. He's still dead.
Yeah, he's still dead.
I'm sorry. I know that sounds terrible, but I grew up listening to that man, and I remember some of the terrible things that he said. Anyways, it was
just like I don't feel bad about Fred dying at the end of this season. I don't feel bad about you saying that he's still dead. Yeah,
that's very true. I mean, Serena Joy had to be like, her name is June. Stop calling her Offred, you asshole.
Yeah. But again, not because she has an ounce of humanity, because she knows that it would look bad.
Mm-hmm. Right. She's smarter. She's smarter than
she's
Fred.
Smarter.
Yeah. Yes. She always has.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was more bingeable, Maggie. I would agree. But I don't think that the world has fully changed. If you look at things like Texas, deputizing people to report women that have potentially had abortions after 6 weeks and giving them $10,000 to do so, that doesn't sound like the world has changed for the better to me. That sounds very Gileadian.
Yeah.
But I do think that because there is more hope than there was to stop these kinds of things a year ago, that maybe that's why it's more bingey. Or, I don't know. But thank you so much. We appreciate the feedback and the call, and it didn't sound rambly, so thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got one last bit of feedback from Tasia.
So this is my second video I'm recording for you because the first one I had too many things as far as thoughts about The Handmaid's Tale, because I had so many thoughts about Handmaid's Tale, and I feel like I was a little bit scattered. So this is my second time recording a video for you. Fucking insane season. I did not know that they were going to be setting us up for a season 5. So when that last episode hit, I was like, what happens next? You're leaving me here? Seriously? But let's go back to the very beginning. Big things that stood out. So glad that June lived. The whole farm situation was really interesting. I can't believe she got captured again. Also, what are your thoughts on her letting the Marthas die? Ugh! And then she ends up telling them anyway when they get her daughter. It's like, you could have just let them live. I don't know. Anyway, and then, oh, there's a fly. My animals are hunting it. The train scene with the other handmaids. What the fuck? They go through all that stuff. They manage to get out of the car before they head to, like, the breeding farm, which, by the way, ew, gross. So happy we did not have to go there in this season. But how? Why? After everything they've gone through, you're gonna have them get hit by a train? Seriously? I literally just sat there like, what the fuck just happened? What just happened? Anyway, also have to say, in regards to the farm, it was very strange that they had June almost have this motherly relationship with that really young wife who she had, like, set up to kill that guy who raped her, and then she left her. I just, there were so many things at the season where I was like, but why? Why would we do it like this? But why? Also, Serena being pregnant? Y'all, I hope that when she gives birth, it's like to some cloven-hooved, winged Jersey Devil type thing that fucking shoots out of her vagina and, like, flies up a chimney and, like, I don't know, picks her up with its little claws and carries her away and dumps her in a river. Is that not too wishful thinking? But that last episode, love the whole whistle thing, because that kind of connects us back to season 1 where they have them, you know, beat that rapist to death, which, I mean, the commanders are all rapists. And I really love, as far as the way it was filmed, how they were going back to, and I'm spacing right now, I think it was the, like, place where the commanders went, like, got their yagas off. Anyway, but I really liked the parallels of her being molested by the commander and then her then kind of repaying that same favor forward. Like, you know, when he had his, like, mouth all over her and stuff, she's bit his tongue out. I was like, oh, it feels so good. Anyway, it's really long. Feel free to cut out whatever you want to cut out. I know I'm a little long-winded. Love you guys. Cannot wait to hear your discussion. It was a fantastic season, and talk to you soon. Bye-bye. See you guys soon.
Amazing.
Yeah, so good.
Thank you for reminding us about the whistle thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the train scene, I guess we didn't talk about. It was super tragic, but I can sort of understand, like, narratively why they needed to kind of, like, cut it down to just a couple of handmaids.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it had to. Yeah.
It had to happen eventually.
It had to happen.
It was
and the whole
rough.
like bad things happen to people around June, and
yeah,
you help June and you die, but Alma.
Yeah.
But I know, poor Alma. But Janine is a different beast, because Janine she's just a different beast. Like that dude was like, blow me, and she was like, okay, and I'm not even gonna like complain about it.
Yeah.
Like, I was on June. I was like, all right, maybe I'm just gonna go die somewhere. But
yeah. I thought that also was like a reminder that things aren't black and white. It's not just like the bad guys in Gilead and the good guys elsewhere, because you find someone outside of Gilead and he's a fucking piece of shit too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Turns out sexism isn't just in Gilead.
Right.
He just didn't want to, he just wanted to get his dick sucked. He didn't want to, like, perform the whole ritual.
Right. But then
Yeah.
plays the good guy of like, well, I'm not going to make you do anything you don't want to do.
I'm just
Right.
not going to give you food and shelter.
I'm
You
just not
starving
gonna-
person that's been raped and
You know.
traumatized and tortured for the last 7 years. Yeah.
It's ultimately
Right.
your choice, though, because I'm a
Right.
good guy.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, Tasia raises some good points about, the selfishness of June and
Mhm.
like letting the Marthas die. Like, yeah, I mean,
Well, that's hard though, because then it's like, whose life do you protect? Which people? I mean, it's not fair that she would have to choose between those Marthas and the handmaids.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what war is. War is a series of impossible decisions. And as much as we would like to say, well, let's just choose not war, clearly, but that's not reality in this particular reality that we're watching on TV.
Yeah.
But thank you, Tasia. And you are never long-winded or anything like that. We always love it.
Yep.
Yes.
The perfect amount of winded.
Yes. Perfectly winded if you must.
Perfectly winded.
Same with Maggie. Perfectly winded.
Yes. Perfectly windedly blowing into that whistle.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we should call this episode Mayday Blows a Whistle.
Oh.
Or Mayday Goes to Canada. Still, really like that thing I thought of. That nobody fucking does.
Right. I mean, not, just to like circle back on what I said before, that I really
I really thought
But
it was
hey.
clever. I was like, Mr. Smith goes to Washington, Mr. Mayday goes to Canada, Ms. Mayday goes to Canada.
You got more laughs the second time around. Sometimes I just need the repetition.
Well,
Just
they say a
browbeat
good
me into
joke.
liking the joke.
Yeah,
No,
a good joke
redundance.
comes in threes. If
Love
you
it.
could.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yes.
But anyway, thank you guys all so much for the feedback. We appreciate it. This episode has run a little bit long, and we did have some other feedback. And we also wanted to talk about Britney Spears. I think that we could probably say to that for right now, because I think there's going to be a lot more developments over the next few weeks
Yeah.
that, I don't know.
We still need to hear from listeners.
We still need to hear
so-
from listeners about Britney. The thing about Britney is that she makes a lot of allegations in that phone call that leaked a month ago. And one of the things is she says that they gave her an IUD and she would like to have more children, and they won't give her permission to
Yeah.
get married
It's
again,
sad.
to go
It's like
to the
Handmaid's Tale.
gynecologist to have it
Mhm.
removed. And that is kind of like the anti-Gilead, but at the same time, it's still
What's that common thread of controlling women
Of
and
control.
controlling women's
Exactly.
bodies?
Exactly.
Yeah.
nuts.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the news that came out today as we are recording this is that a judge ruled that Britney was able to hire her own attorney for the first time. And of course, there are a lot of things that come with that, because as we've heard through different reporting and Britney's own words, that the type of conservatorship that she is under, it did make it difficult for her to be able to have the ability to hire her an attorney. So they ruled that today. So maybe she can actually get somebody who will advocate for her. And yeah, I think that the Britney thing is something that we're definitely gonna have to talk about. And I think that it's going to unfold more throughout the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
But free Britney, they were right.
Yes. Yes, they
Free
were.
Britney.
Yeah. Hashtag
Leave
free
Britney
June.
alone.
Hashtag free Janine. Hashtag free Esther. Hashtag free Britney.
Yes.
Or maybe we just call this episode June and Janine and Britney Oh My.
June and Tintine and Esther and Brittany.
Right? We need to get a shirt, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
Also, we need a shirt that is like, goodbye Earl, goodbye Fred.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, them beating the shit out of him also reminded me of Goodbye Earl.
Oh, the chick song.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm with you now.
Oh, I thought you were with me before. I thought everybody was just slow at getting it.
I was just slow. I'm very tired.
It's okay. I'm tired too. Anyway, I know I promised us some jokes, but I forgot the book on the counter upstairs.
That's okay. Jokes next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jokes next week. Jokes on October. October. You guys know that every
It's like,
single
well, now
year,
you're just gonna have to wait for your jokes.
I know. You guys know every single year I confuse August and October, and I can't help it. I remember I say it every year. I'm like, oh my God.
You know what? I do that with May and March.
Oh no, August and October every single year. Every single year I do it. I don't know why.
Because they both start with the "ah" sound.
Yeah, well, also October used to be the 8th month of the year, not August. It's just all sorts of confusing. But
That makes sense.
I constantly refer to October as August, and when we're in October, I constantly date it 8/ whatever before I'm like, no, this is 10.
Wrong.
It's just one of those weird things. You know what would have helped? Common Core. Common Core would have helped.
You had to show your work.
The age and then circle the, you put
Count
them in
it.
a graph.
Yeah,
and
You gotta count.
January, February, March, April.
Makes me think of like what's the trick for decide like months. You use your knuckles for like the months that have 31 days versus less than 31.
Yes.
And like you sort of I don't know. That's what I mean.
Yeah, there is. Just like when you're doing multiplication, if you're doing nines.
Yeah, with the finger.
Yeah, the nines, the fingers for the nines. That super, super accurate.
Love me some finger math. Love it.
Oh man, if this wasn't a Handmaid's Tale episode, I would have called it finger mathing.
That's a good one. That's a real good one.
Next time. You know what? I'm gonna write this down for when I do the quiz next year. Finger mathing was an alternate title. It'll be finger mathing. Mayday goes to Canada, and then whatever the other one I just said was. I can't remember. Anyway, all right. We will be back on August 2nd to record, so please send us your feedback about Handmaid's Tale. Anything else, Brittany. We really want to talk about Brittany. I promise I will bring down that kid's book. I apologize for leaving that there. There's some pretty funny ones in there. They probably all came from the Dad Joke website as well. But anyway, everybody, have a wonderful week. Blah, 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 blah. Thank you for listening. Thank you to the patrons. If you'd like to become a patron, you go to patreon.com/JNJack. Thank you to the patrons that contribute a certain level, and that would be Eckhart Rigner Tack from Tokyo, Maggie the Magnificent, Joanne with a Plan, and Ed the Creepy Mailman. We appreciate it so much. Thanks for listening. When we come back on August 2nd, we will actually be due for a patron bonus episode. So we'll have one out on August 3rd. So stay tuned for that. Thank you again, though. Feedback, thebroadcasters3@gmail.com, or give us a call 331-276-2373. And sorry that the audio has been kind of shitty since I switched computer systems. I don't know what's going on. It's very frustrating, but it is what it is. And I'm sorry. I'm gonna work on fixing it during our off time. So, but anyway, on that note, my name is Colleen.
My name is Amanda.
And I'm Shandy.
Peace out, everybody.
Bye.